Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
Lifebuoy shampoo ලේදී කිරි ප්‍රෝටීන් සහ මල්ටිවිටමින් හිස කෙස් මුල සිට පෝෂණය කර ශක්තිමත් කරයි.
Headlines tonight. Levy to discourage. Ministry of Finance announces an increase in the annual tax for casinos to 500 million rupees. More amendments on betting and gaming to be introduced. Vacate. The Election Commission urges parliamentarians with dual citizenship to immediately tender their resignation. Paying back. State-run Litrogas to settle World Bank loan for cooking gas by second week of December. New leadership. UK's former Treasury Chief Rishi to become Britain's next Prime Minister, the third this year. This Monday, the 24th of October 2022.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, and you are joining with us on First at 9. I'm Suzanne Shanali coming to you live and direct from AdaDerana 24. Our top story tonight is the Ministry of Finance announcing an increase in the annual tax for casinos by 150% to 500 million rupees. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Sibalapitia said that it has been decided to charge an entrance fee for $200 from locals who visit casinos once new regulations come into effect. The Ministry of Finance revealed today that the annual taxes on casinos have been subjected to a 150% increase from 200 million rupees to 500 million rupees with effect from 1st of August this year. According to State Minister of Finance Ranjit Sibalapitia, more amendments will be introduced to the Betting and Gaming Levy Act with immediate effect in order to increase taxes and at the same time to envisage a discouraging effect on the proliferage of casinos in Sri Lanka.
ඔවුන්ගේ ලියාපදිංචිය සඳහා සුවිශේෂී බද්දක් අය කිරීමට අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. මේ බදු වෙනස් කිරීම තුළින් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයෙකු කැසිනෝ ශාලාවකට ඇතුල් වෙනවා නම් ඔහුගෙන් ඩොලර් 200ක ගාස්තුවක් අය කරන්න ඕනේ. රජයේ ගාස්තු. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් රුපියල් 70000ක් ගෙවලා තමයි ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයෙකුට මේ අලුත් නීතිය ආපුවාම කැසිනෝ ශාලාවකට යන්න පුළුවන්.
The Ministry of Finance also expects to increase the annual taxes on live betting centres from 600,000 rupees to 1 million rupees and the turnover tax from 10% to 15% via the amendments. Further, it is proposed to increase the annual tax on betting agents up to 5 million rupees from 4 million rupees and the annual tax on non-live betting from 50,000 rupees to 75,000 rupees.
මේ සියල්ලම අය කරාට පස්සේ මේ කැසිනෝ ශාලාවකින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ඔට්ටුපොලකින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ ආයතනය බදු ගෙවුවට පස්සේ ලබන ලාභයෙන් අපි 140කුත් ඔවුන්ගෙන් ගන්නවා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපි මත්පැන් සහ දුම්මැටි ගැන කතා කරොත් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මත්පැන් බෝතලයකින් 175ක් අපි රජයේ බදු ගන්නවා. දුම්මැටියෙන් 185ක්. ඒ ආයතනවලත් ඒ සියල්ල අපි ගත්තට පස්සේ ඔවුන් ලබන ලාභයෙන් 140ක ආදායම් බද්දකුත් අපි ගන්නවා.
Chairman of Litrogas Lanka Limited, Mudita Piri, says that there is a possibility of a further reduction in gas prices within the first week of November, in accordance with price fluctuations in the world market. Speaking at a media briefing today, Litro chairman said that they expect to complete the payment of $70 million, equivalent to 26 billion rupees, that was obtained from the World Bank to solve the gas shortage in the country by the second week of December. In a bid to solve the severe gas shortage that existed in the country a few months back, state gas supplier Litrogas Lanka Limited procured 100,000 metric tons of LPG sufficient for 4 months from an Oman gas supplier by paying $90 million. Out of that amount, $70 million was received from the World Bank and the remaining $20 million was obtained from the Treasury.
As Litrogas, we borrowed $70 million USD from World Bank. We have repaid $6.5 billion to the General Treasury on September. And October, we have already completed $7.5 billion rupees. out of 26 billion. Actually, $70 million is equivalent to 26 billion rupees. So we have completed that part and hoping to complete all 26 billion payment by second week of December.
Speaking further, Peiris hinted at a possibility of a further reduction in gas prices within the first week of November in accordance with the price fluctuations in the world market.
අපි දැන් නිරීක්ෂණය කරන දෙයක් තමයි ලෝක වෙළඳපොලේ ගෑස් වල මිල උච්චාවචනයන්ට අනුකූලව නොවැම්බර් මාසේ මුල් සතියේත් අපිට ගෑස් මිල අඩු වෙන ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තමයි දකින්නේ. ඇත්තටම අපිට ඒක තහවුරු කරලා කියන්න බෑ නොවැම්බර් මාසේ පළවෙනිදා දෙවෙනිදා වෙනකන්. මොකද ඒ උච්චාවචනයන් කොයි අතට හැරෙයිද කියන එක අපිට නිල වශයෙන් කියන්න බැරි නිසා. නමුත් අපි නිරීක්ෂණය කරනවා ගෑස් මිලේ අඩුවීමක ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තමයි අපි මේ වෙනකොට නිරීක්ෂණය කරන්නේ. එවැනි ප්‍රතිලාභයක් හම්බුනොත් අපි ඉතාමත් කැමැත්තෙන් ලිට්‍රෝ ගෑස් ආයතනයේ විදිහට ඒ ප්‍රතිලාභය ජනතාව අතට යවනවා.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has approved to double the fuel quota for three-wheelers. According to the President's media division, three-wheelers will be entitled for a full quota of 10 litres starting from the 6th of November. Further three-wheeler registrations for the new quota within Western Province will commence from 1st of November. PMD said that the other provinces are scheduled to follow in stages. However, three-wheeler drivers say that they will reduce fares only if the government grants them a weekly fuel quota of 30 litres. Treasury Secretary Mahinda Siriwardena says Sri Lanka businesses should explore new markets in the emerging economies as they will account for 45% of global trade growth by 2026. Delivering a keynote address at the seminar today, he added that Sri Lankan exports should focus on diversification, value addition and branding if Sri Lanka is to attract global companies that are expecting to diversify their supply chain. Meanwhile, addressing the same event, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the private sector played a pivotal role in the country's economy during the past 2 to 3 decades.
The international seminar, organised by Institute of Supply and Materials Management to celebrate their 50th anniversary, was held in Colombo today under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
By 2026, as per the latest forecasts, emerging economies will account for about 45% of trade growth and 55% in advanced economies. Trade can be a powerful force against inflation and supply chain disruptions. The key take-home for Sri Lankan industries and businesses, especially the export sector, is to be creative and explore new markets in emerging economies. In the new environment, it is firms that are able to drive productivity and competitiveness that will succeed. Firms that have lean processes, cutting-edge logistics, streamlined procurement, and efficient employees will come out on top. In this context, Sri Lanka's export sector need to focus on diversification, value addition, branding, and quality rather than quantity, as espoused by the government of Sri Lanka. Towards this end, it is important to strengthen the export of quality and value-added products from the country. Sri Lankan firms with capabilities in these sectors, together with the government, need to attract these global companies seeking alternative manufacturing or sourcing locations. Developments like Colombo Port City, the export processing zone near Hambantota in the south, and the proposed dedicated textile industrial park in Eraur in the east of Sri Lanka provide further opportunities to pitch Sri Lanka as an ideal location for relocation of major manufacturing facilities. To take advantage of these supply shifts, Sri Lanka will have to articulate industry-specific strategies, identify areas to improve in the country for investor consideration, and sell Sri Lanka as a destination to specific companies seeking to diversify their supply chains. The pandemic has made more people around the world, including Sri Lanka, comfortable with sourcing online services, including medical consultations, legal advice, accounting services, etc. Since Sri Lanka has long been known as a supplier of top quality doctors, lawyers, engineers, and accountants, there's a huge opportunity for Sri Lankan professionals to export these services to the world online, if we take it seriously. Businesses must be resilient and capable of adapting the major disruptions so that it can develop long-term strategies and solutions to complex supply chain challenges. In the immediate term, the restructuring of the debt and updating bridge financing for development partners is important. And in the short term, it's important to implement fiscal, monetary and structural reforms to put the economy on correct path while aiming the possibility of regaining access to global capital markets as early as possible. In the medium term, improvement of non-debt creating inflows, including exports, tourism, remittances, asset divestments where foreign sources will also participate are important. In the long term, consistently implementing appropriate fiscal monetary policies that result in stable current account balances and generates macroeconomic stability to attract sustainable long-term capital inflows is very important in the today's context. The first step in the achieving these objectives was to establish an IMF program without which it is impossible to obtain bridge financing from multilateral and bilateral partners. The IMF program agreed between Sri Lankan authorities and the IMF staff includes measures that address the fundamental drivers of instability in the Sri Lankan economy and putting in place a policy environment to support sustainable and equitable growth going forward.
Governments have departments. Governments change departments into corporations. That is one aspect. But the challenge of facing the economy is shouldered by the private sector. I must say the private sector has played the most important role in the last 2-3 decades. But government and state corporations have slowed down. Let us admit, they have slowed down. The role that was expected of them, have they reached that goal? Very clear in the judgments of the Supreme Court, the acts of parliament, objectives are laid down, contributions are made, billions are borrowed, invested in the state sector. I stand for the state sector for a long time, even today. But they have to perform. That is what the professional community of the private sector has opened the windows to.
The National Election Commission says decisions with regard to dual citizenship can only be made via court determinations. Under the newly passed 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, those with dual citizenship cannot function as members of Parliament, stating that a prompt decision cannot be made on whether a parliamentarian can hold dual citizenship or not. The Election Commission urged such individuals to immediately tender their resignation. The Election Commission further said that inquiries will be conducted on dual citizenship holders when accepting nominations for future elections and that actions will be taken only if such candidates make a statement in this regard. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that his party is ready to extend the hands of friendship to the 6.9 million people who voted to elect former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and have the opportunity to rectify their mistakes by supporting the SJB. Addressing the Galagedara electorate meeting of Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Premadasa said both Sri Lanka and its people will emerge victorious under a SJB government.
The Galagedara electorate meeting of Samagi Jana Balawegaya was held in Hataraliyadda yesterday under the patronage of the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
අද පොහොට්ටුව ඉවරයි. කෑලි වලට කරින්. ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ සභාපති මෛත්‍රීපාල මහත්තයාටයි මහලේකම් දයාසිරිටයි අද තනි වෙන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. පක්ෂයේ CC කට කඩිලා ගිහින් තියෙනවා. මම කියනවා ඒ නිසා අපේ නායකත්වයේ තමයි අද ජනතාවගේ විශ්වාසය දිනා ගන්න පුළුවන් එකම නායකත්වය. දැන් මේ 22 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේ තිබ්බ ඡන්දේ 172යි. ඒකෙන් 100ක් විපක්ෂ ඡන්ද. ආණ්ඩුවේ කාලේ ඉවර වෙගෙන යන්නේ. අපේ කණ්ඩායම දුන්නේ නැත්තම් අද 22ක් නෑ. හොඳට තිබ්බ රට විනාශ කරේ රාජපක්ෂ පවුල. දැන් රටේ ජනතාවට තියෙන අවස්ථාවක්. ඒ කරපු අඩුපාඩුව නිවැරදි කරගන්න. අපේ දොරටු අපි විවෘත කරන්නට ඕන. මිත්‍රත්වයේ හස්තය 69 ලක්ෂයටත් දිගු කරන්න. ඒ අපේ රටේ මිනිස්සු සමගි ජන බලවේග රජයක් තුල දිනනකොට දිනන්නේ රටයි මාතෘ භූමියයි ලක්ෂ 220ක් වූ සමස්ත ජනතාවයි.
Diwali, one of the most significant religious festivals of Hinduism, which symbolizes the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and enlightenment, is celebrated today by Hindu devotees across the globe. It is known as the Festival of Lights as people illuminate dozens of oil lamps or candles throughout homes, streets, and areas of worship.
Diwali is one of the most important festivals celebrated by the Hindu devotees all over the world. Diwali, also called Deepavali, is a festival of lights that celebrates the triumph of light over dark and good over evil and the blessings of victory, freedom and enlightenment. On the night of Diwali, celebrants light dozens of candles and clay lamps, placing them throughout their homes and in the streets to light up the dark night. The exact dates of the festival change each year and are determined by the position of the moon, but it typically falls between October and November. The main celebration of Diwali takes place on the day of the new moon, when the sky is at its darkest. So a big part of the celebration revolves around light. Because Diwali is celebrated by so many people worldwide, traditions are diverse, though there are a few common themes, including the lighting of candles and the gathering of families. Candles, clay lamps and oil lanterns are lit and placed throughout homes, in the streets and in areas of worship and floated on lakes and rivers. Hindu devotees across the world and in Sri Lanka celebrated Diwali by lighting lamps and joining in their pujas. Issuing his wishes to the Hindu devotees of the country, President Ranil Wickremesinghe requested all Sri Lankans, irrespective of race, religion or political affiliation, to unite around the light of Deepavali to rebuild the country. In the meantime, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in his message wished that Deepavali would help for a lightened up country where hate and anger are eliminated and human reconciliation is established for everyone to live in unity and peace.
Going into a short commercial break now. More news on the other side. Stay tuned.
අයිනෝ පුතා හැබැයියා ගෙදර නිදියන්නෙම අමූතු තැනක.
කාලගුණය කොහොමුණත් රයිනෝ නං වාලට සේෆ් තමයි මුළු ගෙදරම. Rhino Cement Roofing Sheets. Then you know Rhino. I know.
Big 3.
Welcome back to First at 9. The Department of Meteorology says the powerful cyclone storm Sitrang, which has been causing heavy deluge across several parts in Sri Lanka, is expected to cross the coast of Bangladesh by tomorrow. Taking the situation into account, the Met Department requests naval and fishing communities not to venture into sea areas as rough seas can be experienced due to the turbulent situation. As the prevailing weather condition is expected to last the next 24 hours, the National Building Research Organization continued to warn of landslides to several areas in 5 districts.
During the past few days, heavy rainfall was reported in several provinces and districts across the country. The inclement weather gave rise to incidents of flooding, landslides and area inundations affecting the daily lives of the public. According to the Department of Meteorology, the deep depression concentrated over the Central Bay of Bengal has intensified into a cyclonic storm as of today. The Met Department says that cyclonic storm Sitrang is likely to move north to northeastwards and intensify further into a severe cyclonic storm and cross Bangladesh coast by tomorrow. In this backdrop, the highest rainfall during the past 24-hour cycle that ended at 8 a.m. today was recorded from the area of Mathugama in Kalutara district with 141 millimeters of rainfall. Heavy showers continued to trigger floods in several areas of Gampaha, Colombo and Kalutara districts in the western province and in Galle in the southern province, inundating several roads and affecting public transportation. One such incident was reported from Ambalangoda area in the Galle district after a spillover in the Madampa Lake inundated 259 nearby houses. Due to this, the estuary of the Madampa Lake is widening since last night. In another development, 2 houses have been damaged due to a landslide in Gintota, Ukwatta area in the Galle district. A similar incident was reported from Payagala area in Kalutara district when a mound of earth collapsed and damaged a house. In other developments following the heavy deluge in the catchment areas, several spill gates of the Castleway Reservoir were opened during the day. Meanwhile, 3 spill gates were also opened in Mausekale Reservoir. In addition, showers pouring into the central hills led to the opening of 5 spill gates of the Polgolla Dam as well. A spill gate was also opened at the Upper Kotmale Dam. In this backdrop, the Department of Meteorology forecasts the prevailing showery condition to continue during the next 24 hours. The department also issued an advisory for heavy showers of above 100 mm in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Galle and Matara districts. According to the department, wind speeds will be 60 to 70 km per hour and can increase up to 80 km per hour in sea areas. They further advised the naval and fishing communities not to venture into the sea areas of the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea until tomorrow, adding that heavy showers or thunder showers and very rough seas can be expected. Taking the situation into account, the National Building Research Organisation has extended its early landslide warning issued to several areas in Galle, Kalutara, Kegalle, Nuwara and Ratnapura districts.
In the span of time, the number of districts who had the difficulty due to torrential rains we faced a couple of weeks back has been reduced. Now it has come down to 13 districts with 77 AGA division. As at evening today, there are 7 safety centers, 3 in Gampa and 4 in Colombo. In these 7 safety centers, Gampa we have 26 families with 121 people, and in Colombo 4 safety centers we have 31 families with 116 people. So the numbers also have reduced now from morning 18,000 plus it has come down to 16,478. So the people are going back to their homes. The water levels are being reduced. However, rivers are alerted. Kalani, Kalu, Ging, Nilwala. We are warning those people living along Kalani, Kalu, Ging and Nilwala rivers to be vigilant and watchful because the rains on upper stream is coming down, so the people living on downstream should be alerted and should keep their watch. If anyone finds any difficulties of obtaining their support, assistance and welfare, please call 117 call center, disaster management center. We will help you whatever the support you need.
A partial solar eclipse will be visible to many parts of Sri Lanka tomorrow at sunset. The eclipse will also be visible over much of Europe, North Africa, the Middle East and western parts of Asia. According to Director of Astronomy and Space Science Unit of Department of Physics at University of Colombo, Professor Chandana Jayaratna, the eclipse said that the eclipse can be best seen from Jaffna. For Jaffna city, the partial eclipse begins at 5:27 p.m. and the maximum eclipse occurs at 5:46 p.m. with 8.8% of the solar disk covered by the moon. Though the eclipse ends at 6:20 p.m., it can be observed only up to the sunset due at 5:49 p.m. For those who live in Colombo, the beginning of the partial eclipse can be observed at 5:43 p.m. and the maximum eclipse occurs at 5:49 p.m. with the moon covering about 1.6% of the solar disk. The partial solar eclipse cannot be observed after 5:52 p.m. due to sunset. This eclipse will be visible to the Colombo area for about 9 minutes. And that wraps up our news tonight at First at 9. Join us again tomorrow at the same time. Stay tuned with World News Tonight with Anuradha Wickramasinghe. Good night, and I'm Suzanne Shanali.